Hi everyone and good morning. Thank you for attending our early panel, the first for the day. Let's start with our questions and let's delve into the importance of strategic partnerships and alliances. So my first question is to Rahela and Natalia. You are representing two public broadcasters from the region. What are the most important issues you are facing today, and how are alliances and partnerships helping to tackle those issues?
Natalia?
Well, the most important problem all the public service media are just now facing is stable financing and, of course, polarization of the political landscape, which means that there are then political pressures on the public service media. And, of course, we try to overcome that with good work. And regarding the alliances, with good alliances with the independent producers in the country, and if possible, of course, also with the co-producing with the other countries, which is in our case very difficult because the legal framework for us is so tight that we can only co-produce through the independent producers, no directly. So I guess this is the biggest obstacle, and I would say that the biggest obstacle to do alliances outside of the country is the legal framework and financial setup.
Okay,
Yeah.
We'll delve into that topic after that in detail.
I would say the same regarding the legal framework, which is sometimes a main obstacle for alliances and co-productions, of course. Regarding alliances, we are, as a public broadcaster, part of the EBU. So we are used to make all the alliances regarding content, especially the kids' content, where we co-produce for years in documentaries and dramas. So it is something that we would like to do much more in EBU framework and also with independent productions, but it's very hard.
Mm-hmm. And Lenka and Bartosz. Lenka, you're representing the leading broadcasters from the Czech Republic and also its streamer Vojo. And Bartosz, you are representing BBC Studios, the commercial arm of BBC. What are the main challenges for you, and how do you see forming alliances, helping solve those major issues for you?
Please, Bartosz, I have a problem of my own.
Okay, I just wanted to say maybe you should start before you lose your voice. The reason that we are separated this way is 2 sick and 3 healthy. At least this
I'm
was
sick as well.
Okay, so 2, 1. But jokes aside, I think the challenges are more or less the same for all of us. I think financing the budget will be an issue going forward, generally speaking, because on the one hand, the market is more crowded, competition is like more fierce, and expectations, by our stakeholders is like bigger and bigger. That's obvious because this is part of the DNA, especially in the role that we are in as BBC Studios, as you mentioned, Iako, that we are a commercial division of a pubcaster, British broadcaster, public broadcaster, BBC. We are simply in a different role than my colleagues here today, because first of all, and also talking, about my role in the business, is that we are not just one country, and we are not a public broadcaster in this part of the world. Therefore, for us, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that more and more today, is like how to find this, what we call strategic partnerships in this part of the world, so to make sure that we are benefiting on what we are sitting actually as BBC Studios, meaning, like a gold mine in terms of content library, 100-year-old experience of producing, co-producing, and delivering content to both like TV audiences, radio audiences, these days in form of podcasts. But ultimately, I think more or less we have the same challenges, just the business model is slightly different and the role that we are in is slightly different.
Mm-hmm. Lenka, are you okay now?
Let's try.
Okay, so what are the most important alliances for you, for Television Nova and for CME?
Alliances. Well, You said it yourself. We are part of the CME company, the Central European Media Enterprises, and the most valuable partnership are within the company. So our sister TV, Markiza in Slovakia, it's like the closest friend of ours. We share some capacities. I'm sorry, can't do anything.
Yeah.
We share some capacities, also the bureaucratic apparatus, you don't have to have two IT development departments when you're so close. So that we share, and it works. If it means in terms of content creation, that's tricky, because as close as we are, it doesn't always work. When we do content 50-50. We are really like brothers, and the languages are almost the same, well, very similar. We can understand each other, but still the cultural differences are there, and the expectations of the audience are different from the content we create. So every time we try to co-produce or do something 50-50, it doesn't work much. It flops.
Okay. And let's try to find the answer of how alliances and partnerships have changed, because you all know, and we all know, that the media landscape is constantly changing and evolving, and new business models are appearing, and the old business models are reshaping. So how have the different types of alliances changed throughout the years? Let's start with the public broadcasters. I mean, what has changed in terms of alliances?
So the most time that I spend talking about co-productions is unfortunately on NEM each year, because I'm always in a panel like this, and before and after that we unfortunately talk much less that we should talk about co-productions and alliances. For commercials, they are definitely profit-driven sometimes, and it's totally different thing with public broadcasters. We are impact-driven, and the things are different, definitely, in that area. We are not so successful in co-productions, and we don't have so many successful stories. We have 2 drama series, the one that we are expecting next year, Greater Adria, and The Silence 2 Seasons, which were produced by Drugi Plan. And I hope that now we will enter one documentary co-production, and it's always much more complicated maybe that it should be. We are trying with our legal framework to do some improvements, but we are not dedicated enough maybe to this subject. Of course, and I talked about this last year, the language is the main problem, because we would all like to have something from the co-productions that it's in our language. That means that we should focus on this area, this region, and I think that in the future we should do more of this, but I'm not very optimistic about it.
Yeah, and to the others, do you think that how to put it, like alliances, including co-productions, should, and it would be better to be based on like some geographical factor, for example, like to have a Visegrad grouping or like Adria grouping? Is it necessary? I mean, are those alliances more would be more successful, or it doesn't play such a role? I mean, in terms of common language, history, what do you think?
Well, it's culturally, I would say, it works. But I think we shouldn't limit on that. I think there are some themes which are quite universal, and the cultural part of it is also universal. And for example, at this moment, all the Europe has problem with the war in Ukraine. So this is our common, and the theme which would be like talking about that would be, a common theme. So migration is also the common theme. Population getting too old is also common theme. So there are so many things we could ally, but I think I'm going back when you said how it was and how what it is now. I think the problem is also that before, when you were co-producing regarding the rights issue, you know, you have the cinematographic rights, and then there were like a window for the sales of the co-producer, for example, to maybe somebody abroad, and then you got the film you co-produced or documentary or whatever, because we have this legal obligation to co-produce with the local independent co-producers regarding films, documentary, children's movies, and so on. And now, you know, it needs, before, like in a year, you got the new product. Now you have a window like 2.5 years until you get it. After all the other rights were exploited, you know. So it's the technology and all the new distribution platforms extend the timing of the rights issue. So I think this is kind of an obstacle in co-production. At least I see it for our company, because after everybody has seen in cinema, on the SVODs and so on, it comes to the linear TV. So, you know, the potential share is not so high. But regarding I think on the level of the European Union, you know, we have so many things which are moderated quite well, but we haven't moderated copyrights, you know, music rights and so on, which are basically quite a big obstacle when you co-produce abroad. Because in the moment, even if you produce, for example, a documentary which is reliable on all the other territories, maybe first you can sell it because you have these music rights which are not cleared out, and you need to go into that. And many producers, when they produce, when you produce, you don't think about selling or co-producing, or you maybe, you know, you have a good piece of documentary and you would like to do something better in a co-production, but you don't think about the music rights, you don't think about, you know, you just bought I don't know, if it's, you have archives, you know, you have it only for your territory. So there are so many obstacles which are not regulated within the European framework, which would need a regulation also.
And Bartosz and Lenka, what is your opinion on what are the prerequisites of a good alliance? I mean, like geographical factor, common language, or especially in terms of content alliances. I mean, when content is concerned.
Well, I don't think it's geography. I really don't. As I already said, nobody is closer than we and Slovaks, and it doesn't work. I would say it's like a common narrative language that you can share on the project. When I was thinking about your question, I said, yeah, I can't think of any example when the co-production on a big drama series or drama project, it really worked in the domestic, you know, markets. Maybe the way how to try that, it's not the biggest project we have, and that we co-produce, because the cost effectiveness and so on, it shouldn't be the priority, the cost. The priority is the audience you already have. Just don't disappoint them with some compromising on the content. What I was thinking, it might be the way, it's some of the projects where we share the common narrative language, like the children's movies, that I can imagine, or fairy tales, or children animation series, or something we wouldn't do for mainstream. It's not, you know, our top priority, like horror movie or horror series. We wouldn't do that, but if there's 4 of us, we can do that. And, you know, the narrative language of horror series, it's something we share, all of us. I can imagine that on some, not so mainstream genres, it could work. On the biggest projects we have, it's usually just the optimistic view that we say, oh, we share the costs. It flops every time.
And
in the
Bartosz?
domestic market.
Yeah, thank you. And Bartosz, for you, do you think that there are genres that are more suitable for content alliances, for co-productions?
Let me, rephrase that a little bit, because it's also kind of like a statement that from co-production point of view, in this part of the world, we quite new to this game, because I have to fairly say that we haven't produced anything yet here in this part of the world as BBC, and this is what we have absolutely massive ambition and appetite for. Therefore, all the situations that we are trying to learn from colleagues like here, but at the same time to invite people to the conversation and partnership on productions and co-productions. The thing is that when I think about it from different angle, from like a content distributor and either traditional channels or streaming platforms, I'm a little bit less optimistic when it comes to how content can easily travel across this part of the world. I mean, produced in one country and then how that works in the other country. And great that there are sometimes even unfortunate events that we can refer to in storytelling. But from our experiences, seeing, how content travels, it's much easier to think about non-scripted, documentary, factual, that becoming more interesting to some audiences in other territories, because it's about the story that in most of the cases really happened, and is pretty much documenting some situations, some events, whether they are like, a joyful, stories or just very unfortunate and tragic. But that for some reason works better in terms of traveling. It's extremely difficult to travel these days like drama or scripted, from our perspective again, and from our experiences. Because to some extent, like Lenka said, theoretically it's just like country to country, neighboring, adjacent, right? But so many differences, culturally speaking, in terms of like perception, nuances, and details. And this is something that we also see that it's much easier today for us to talk in many cases about how adaptation of the format could work in several territories, that is translated and adapted to the local demands, requirements, you name it, then just create the format from the scratch, like develop something that would be universal and working well. So obviously there might be a few examples of something working better than other stuff, but to be honest, first of all, we haven't produced that yet. Why eager to do that? But at the same time, I don't think there are that many. And of course, from like a apologies, from like a communication perspective, everyone's talking about successes, etc., something. But the reality is that it's disappearing in a crowd and saturated content flow these days, because we know what we are facing, these days, and how many hours of content available to the markets is today versus like a decade or 2 decades ago, right? Mm. So we still, I think, very much struggling with the impact of what's coming from Hollywood, from elsewhere, as a perception of a regular audience, while on declarative level we want to be local, because this is what really stands out from the crowd. And finding this, 1, 2, 3, 4 projects that really works for us is something that everyone is looking for. Mm-hmm. Right?
And Rahela, you mentioned the European Broadcasting Union, which is an alliance of public broadcasters and has been in place for so many years. Can you give us short examples of successful cooperation in EBU?
I can first say something that it's connected to the things that Bartosz said. I know that inside the EBU, the TV committee and the experts group from drama and documentaries are really trying so hard to make many co-productions as they can. And I know that inside the drama, it's very hard. And they are trying, they are pitching to each other, but because of the legal framework most of the time, and because of the stories and the languages, this is not going so well. And I know that inside the documentary, it's much more simple. And we are hoping now that we are entering one of those co-productions. So there are positive examples. We also had a few years ago, 4 years, the EBU co-productions in the children's department regarding drama and documentaries, but now most of the big countries are not interested. So the smaller countries are much more in a problem because, I don't know, France, England, or the Nordic countries, they are not so keen to co-produce with the smaller countries. They are making their own circles. So the things change inside of this. But the partnerships inside the EBU and all the knowledge that is inside EBU and us being a part of this alliance helps definitely to improve ourselves in any area, and in co-production, producing, or anything else. So.
Let's talk about now about the international streamers in Central and Eastern Europe, because many of them have been investing into local content for now, I think 90% in Poland only. But do you think you can have alliances or partnerships with them in any way? Do you feel do you consider them like competitors and that you will need alliances against them? Or how do you see their role in the region? I mean, and do you expect for them to invest in other countries outside of Poland? I mean, in smaller countries?
Do you think that Netflix would be interested in co-producing with Slovenia, 2 million of possible viewers, but basically possibility is 800,000 viewers or even less, so they don't give a shit about our country, sorry. They are investing in Poland, they are investing in Germany, they are investing in the big countries, and they don't care about us. The neglection was also seen, because they for a long time they didn't have subtitles in our languages, so they just need money and they don't care about the market. And people who are stupid enough to pay 9.9 euros for Netflix in Slovenia, while the license fee for RTV Slovenia for 3 online channels, 2 regional channels, online services and everything is 12.75. So it's when you see this, when you see how people are nagging, they need to pay for the public broadcaster and they easily pay for cable, for Netflix, I don't know, for another SVODs, is amazing, And I think we, as small countries, we can be only frightened because there is no legal obstacle for those countries to just come in and take over the market. And nobody takes the money from them, for the local independent producers, for the local media landscape. The problem is that we are not taking care of our media landscape, and the question is basically strategic. This is also tackled, what you asked, within the EBU is now the debate about, the strategy regarding these SVODs, whether to work with them or not, and the big five are the big countries, Italy, Spain, Germany, England, and France. They realized that before the time, like France, before the time when there was a legal necessity that Netflix was investing back in the industry, they worked with Netflix better. Now when they have the necessity to invest back, they're somehow just doing the basic things, just, reformatting things for the French market, and they've seen that, that the system, how they need to give money back, the big streamers, is not okay. So we need to think about how to make them pay the local independent production. And I think it's really important for us that the new producers and the local producers have work and develop new things, and that we get things in our own languages. because with this flood of series in the last period of time has really put a lot of pressure on the local markets, especially on the small markets. And small markets are in danger, and this is the big point, and that's why we need to see how we can work together, just somehow protecting our culture, our language.
And for you, Bartosz and Lenka, do you see a possible alliance between your companies and the big international streamers that are active in the region, or it's not possible?
I think, first of all, to what you said, coming from Poland, we definitely see, how market changed since, the big streamers came to the market. And it would be like a lie to say that it hasn't changed. It changed a lot. And I think, depending on which side of the table you see it in a given moment, you see that as a good thing or bad thing. There are a lot of new jobs created because of them, on the production side, because in a country like Poland, unlike, smaller countries in this part of the world, they invested a lot of money and hired a lot of people to produce. At the same time, I have to look also at this not only from the market's perspective, but also through our lenses. And while, yes, from time to time we cooperate with them, but not on a massive scale, like aforementioned Netflix, we produced, for example, a Reindeer, now currently one of the nominates, for Golden Globes there. But generally, what our priority is to build, first of all, our brand. So therefore, we prefer to work either with smaller, more local streamers, where we have our own streaming platform that we are simply embedding into someone's services, by still keeping that very much branded. This is our priority for me and my team, to make sure that the content that we are producing is traveling with the brand, no matter the way we provide it, whether it's traditional television, whether it's streaming service, whether it's anything else like content sales, right, or digital platform. So probably we have slightly different priorities, but at the same time, we know that the brand for us is the most important. Therefore, the streaming platforms do not provide us with the opportunity to among the others, promote our brand the way we would like to build it going forward. So the answer is twofold. Occasionally, yes, we work with them and produce with them, but at the same time, we are competitors to some extent. And unlike many others, we are not content aggregators as BBC. So we still stick to our plan, British creative, and building strong brand proposition and presence. That's how we see that. But the market definitely is changing.
And Lenka, how is it in the Czech Republic? You're representing Voyo, which is a very strong streamer in the Czech Republic, and Slovakia recently announced that you have reached almost 1 million subscribers in both countries. Do you see an alliance forming between, for example, local streamers in Czechia against the big streamers, or do you see them as competitors? Because there were some plans for, like, a Czech streamer from České radiokomunikace, I think, which the Czech Netflix, which
I think it was a hoax. It was fake news. Never happened. You kind of stole my answer. It is, the streamers are direct competitors for us because we care about the local market we have and we want to dominate our domestic market. Of course, they are competitors. The only way to fight them is to become significant yourself, and for that you need an investor, a strong one. Luckily, we have one, and we still have money for shooting and producing, and that's good. And as you said, we reached 1 million subscribers, or we're gonna reach next week 1 million subscribers, Czechia and Slovakia, which means that there's Netflix in those countries, there's Voyo, there's a long gap, and there's Max, Disney, and all the others. So we became really significant on our market, and that's the way to fight them. Of course, we compete in local content acquisitions, in everything. They're spoiling the prices for us, but that's how the market works. So no, we don't do any deals with them. Mm-hmm. And we care about our audience. And as we see it, the only way to grow is, as I said, not to disappoint the audience you already have, and then you can grow from that point.
Mm-hmm. And question 12, what are the opportunities for cross-industry partnerships like gaming, music, e-commerce, and how is technology facilitating alliances and strategic partnerships? Where do you see the role of technology in forming alliances?
Technology was never a main thing to form alliances. People are forming alliances. Technology per se is egocentric, and people per se are social people. So technology helps only as a tool when you need to transfer one copy to the other, and like facilitating the transfer of the material and quick viewing and everything. But forcing alliances and doing something, I think we shouldn't, think. Also so-called artificial intelligence, I would say, no. People are the one. People who know, who have the vision, who have the strategy, who are thinking in the right way, who are recognizing the right topics where they can work on. You can put into ChatGPT, which are the main topic, and they would get you the, predictable things. But if you want to think about the unpredictable thing, it's a human brain.
If I could say, I think that technology definitely changed media landscape in past decades. So it made us see and watch the content in a totally different way. And of course, the people and the creative industry is definitely our focus, but we should all be aware that the technological improvements are also changing the way we create content, the way we watch content, the way we will invest in some content, the way of thinking. Should we put all 6 episodes of our new brand drama series that was created by the Croatian independent producer all at once on our HRT as a streaming platform? So I think that definitely technology had an impact on that.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sorry, the question was yes. about making alliances.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Okay, I'm just clearing it out because I understand how about making alliances.
Definitely, yes. But
and what is your opinion? I mean, does technology help companies come together and?
Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. Yeah. Like we're saying, it's more like the concept. I don't think technology is here a really issue, unless you think about how alliances could be created around technology. Like I don't know, making 1 + 1 equaling to 2. Combining, I don't know, the concept that were created in the different technical platforms or technology platforms like gaming, and then bringing that to the screen through the series, like HBO did with the last 2 of us, right? And this is something that I'm not sure it connects with technology, but trying to find a denominator to your question of how technology could make these alliances more like advanced. On the other hand, again, another angle you can take here is, for example, like our partnerships that we are creating in the market with technology platforms, meaning like offering our content to this technology platform to distribute our brand and content better. Then yes, I would say technology changed that. Because with the products like, for example, and this is the product that we are pushing right now extremely hard because we strongly believe that's our way going forward, among the others, is BBC Player. And this is not necessarily massive in terms of hours platform for BBC branded content. Usually we are offering that in between 1,000 and 2,000 hours. And the way we are cooperating through technology is that this is the solution that we are ingesting as a branded solution into someone's or third parties OTT platforms. And this is the indeed technology element, because that allows us to propose a fully branded solution embedded into someone's streaming platform. So then, yes, that alliances we cultivate and we push for, because this is our another way of distributing, content and brand. Then yes, of course.
Mm-hmm. And for Lenka, do you have anything to add for technology?
It's the same difference between the answers of you two. Technology changes a lot about how we think, how we perceive things, what our audience, is used to, and how we're gonna do the pricing in the future, how we experiment with the HBB TV and other hybrid, platforms, and we look into that, and there's a huge universe of future in that manner. If it forces us to form alliances, we share capacities because the technology enables us. So we have one programming director because she doesn't have to sit in Bratislava or Prague. It's not necessary anymore. And we share many of the capacities with the partners within the company. Because the technology enables us, but can't think of any alliances through technology.
And going back to what Natalia said about the human factor in forming alliances, how do you see the role of NEM Zagreb in helping foster strategic partnerships and alliances in the region?
Amazing. Amazing.
Very short answer.
It's amazing, whether it's Zagreb or Dubrovnik, we're always keen to be part of that. That's why we're coming, that's why we're talking, that's why still human factor matters, right? And it's an amazing opportunity for us to brainstorm, to clash our ideas against each other and figure it out, because the subject of this whole panel, I guess, is about partnership. And the partnership is not through technology. The partnership is not through many other things, but finding the ways to deal with the bottlenecks, with issues that we are all facing on a daily basis, still making so many things happening, right? Which means that, meetings like that are so important.
Mm-hmm. And for you, Rahel? The role of NEM Zagreb.
I already said that you are making us talking about co-productions, and of course NEM is always a great place to acquire content, to talk about the content, so it's a really good place to develop.
Mm-hmm. And maybe if we have questions from the audience, please. Marina Williams.
Hello, thank you for the panel. So the question I have is actually related partially to technology and alliances. The truth is that this year is the first year when YouTube totally overtaken viewership globally, above Netflix, above any streamers. What is, and I can see the representatives of broadcasters here, as well as streamers. Are there any steps you're going to take to work closer with social media, alliances in advertising sales, for example, working alongside Google? Any interesting solutions?
Well, there's a huge potential in it. We are currently using, I would say, 10% of it. We use YouTube channel for marketing or promoting our series and releasing new series. And I think there's a huge potential for additional content. We are starting with that. I would say if you see each other next year, hopefully, I would say, every time we do a big drama project, we do a documentary series to it and some additional content to it. And this one goes to a platform or linear TV, this one goes to VOD, and there is a potential for additional content. We can use that. I think these two, the drama series and documentaries, we will do because it's in the kitchen already, it's cooking and it's bubbling, and to use YouTube more than we do now, we will, hopefully.
I think it's a matter of prioritization for many, because when you are just YouTube content producer, you see that as your 100%, environment. For many of us, I think, while we all on declarative level will say, yeah, we want to address this, and that, then reality check is something different, because you have to prioritize these things and make sure that, you have secured what pays your bills. So from our point of view, I would say we are not doing enough in some of the areas. Some of these things are coming from the fact that this is how we decided, but at the same time, being honest, in many areas we simply do not do enough, and we need to refocus. Like, probably over the last couple of years, we haven't expected as businesses, media businesses, that we will be hiring, coders to our business, because these jobs were not really, important or necessary for the jobs that we were doing or business that we are doing. Currently, we have to think about jobs like this and making some either sacrifices or strategic decisions, looking for additional headcounts. I think it's a matter of priority. It's not like saying that they are not important, but still, among the others for us, more important is more traditional way of viewings plus streaming services, whether it's B2B2C model or D2C model, depending on how we are distributing the content. But ultimately, priority is there, what either pays your bills or is coming with the highest potential increase over a relatively foreseeable, period. And hence, I see, at least for us as BBC, YouTube, as just complementary, not strategic yet.
Okay. I think about the being present on all new platforms is the matter of our survival. We need to, because the user's mentality has changed. Before you had one TV set or one radio and you just went there and you changed it. Now, what we as content producers, what we need to do is we need to look for our users who are on other platforms and make them come to our platform. So it means that we need to be involved all the times. And recently we have one success story. We engaged in the news room a lady who is very good in the social networking and on the social networks, and she did produce a lot of clips for the social media, TikTok, Instagram, and we got first in after so many years the raise in our young audience. So it seems that we are doing right when we are going to the other platforms, chasing for the audience and bringing it back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for the question. I think we should wrap up our discussion with that last question. Thank you so much for taking part in the panel, and I think we had a very informative discussion about alliances and partnerships, and thank you for attending our panel.
We can stay a little longer.